we're going to talk a little bit about truth. Because there's beauty in truth. Truth brings us freedom. Truth is a wonderful thing. But it also seems to be something that's severely lacking in this world. And instead we've subjugated truth to your perception or your opinion. And that is a very gaslighting mentality because it hurts people. So we're going to talk about truth, especially spiritual and religious truths. And I know I said the big R word, which freaks people out. So first of all, I want to welcome you all to my little podcast channel. I will give the disclaimer that I do not intend to offend anybody, drive anybody off, do any of that stuff. But I'm a very strong personality. I'm a human being. And so are you, which means you may get offended. Question why you're offended. Question what it is that's offended you. Is it something that is in my demeanor, my mannerisms? Did I say something that came across too snarky or this or that? And then shelve it. Okay. Are you offended because whatever I said struck a nerve? Maybe a really raw nerve that's not ready to be touched. I want to give that disclaimer because I feel like it's really, really important, especially when you're talking about anything to do with spirituality or with God or with reality, because it's tough. And when we've been functioning under any kind of preconceived notion, we can get really prideful, really defensive. So I want to give that preface. But apart from that, I really want you to know the truth. You know, in the Bible, we hear Pilate turn to Jesus and say, "What is truth?" He's looking truth himself in the face. And he says, "What is truth?" That should be a wake-up call to all of us, because that's the mantra of the world now. The mantra of the world is, what is truth? There's a song that once said, if God had a face, what would it look like? And if you saw, would you want to believe? Would you want to see if seeing meant that you would have to believe? And I would say the same thing about truth. Because when you get to truth and you get to the reality of truth, you have the option to believe or to not believe. And that's one of the hard things. Because then in believing, you have to do something about it. And it doesn't happen all at once. It happens bit by bit. So calm down. So lots of people go, oh my gosh. So you're going to tell me there's something wrong with me. And then you're going to tell me I have to fix it. And that's something none of us want to hear. And yeah, there's a mentality now of positive vibes only, which means if you challenge my way of thinking, my belief, or anything about me, that's a problem. And it's like, what in the world? Where did we get this notion? It's so juxtaposed to everything that Jesus Christ stood for. We want to talk only about his mercy and his forgiveness, but that's not accurate. Yes, he's merciful. Yes, he's forgiving. But he said, go your way and sin no more. We can't honestly think that we're fine the way we are. Bishop Barron once said, in the light of the crucified Christ, none of us are okay the way we are. And I love that saying from him. No matter what your opinion of him is, I know some people roll their eyes. That's fine. But no matter what your opinion of him is, that is on point. When you look at the crucified Christ, we can't just say, I'm okay and you're okay. So we have to consider, what is the truth? Do we want to know it? Because at this point, that is a really deep rabbit hole. But it's one worthwhile. Because literally, my entire mentality, this podcast, everything I post on social media, except for occasional cat photos, the rest of everything I post on social media is for the salvation of souls. Your soul. Because we all talk about the end of the world, but the reality is the world can end when somebody hits your car, speeding. And you may die a few days later in the hospital. That happened to someone I know recently. Now, he was an old man, and so we kind of knew, it was going to be sooner or later. He was 82, but it was still very sudden. But that sharp reality is the fact that your world is going to end probably a lot sooner than the rest of the world. And that's a sobering reality, considering that at the moment of death is judgment. And that can be a happy and beautiful and wonderful thing, as long as you're prepared for it. And the best way to be prepared to meet your maker, to stand before truth on judgment, because that's what it is. You're going to stand before Jesus Christ. He is truth. And you're going to stand before him on judgment. And that can be a great thing if you know and believe the truth. So the entire point of this is to look at the truth, to know the truth, to believe the truth, so that we can be better than what we are now. Every single one of us. I don't care. If you're a saint, that's great. There's still room for improvement. And most of us aren't saints, so there's a lot of room for improvement, starting with me. I freely admit that. But yeah, so let's go on this very weird journey together. I'm going to start posting on a pretty regular basis, even though they're just going to be short videos, just to talk about something. For this one, it's a little bit of an introduction video, and to get you thinking about your judgment, and are you ready?